Welcome to the DMV Boxing Network Show, where we talk about topics that deal with fights and fighters in the DMV area, and also invite guests here to talk about what's coming up here within the area and beyond. It's time to start the show. Yo, what's up, everybody? What's happening, y'all? What's happening? What's happening? We are here for episode 2 of the DMV Boxing Network Show, and we got like a lot of action that's coming up. Of course, you got the fights tomorrow. As you know, Maryland Live is going to be hosting the ProBox televised card there, of course, promoted by No Excuse Promotions. As you're going to have the headlining bout, Jordan White going up against Jose Matias Romero. And they, recently had the thing there for the weigh-ins. Let's see if I could go ahead and share the screen here as far as like what they had going down at the weigh-ins and whatnot. So, hold on a second. You feel me? All right. So, just go ahead and have this here on the side as far as like what's going down. Of course, there with the headline about Jordan White, they're going up against Jose Matias Romero. As I was mentioning there in the last, telecast or last episode, there you got Jordan White as headliner there. Of course, he is there, of course, from the D.C. area. Born in Landover, resides over in Washington D.C. Is there with a record of 18 wins and 1 loss. There with just 12 wins by way of knockout. And he has came up in being like the NABF super featherweight champion here so far. He's had a few defenses of that NABF title. His last bout was against Jason Sanchez at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in DC. And he's been pretty much climbing up the ranks out there in the super featherweight division, right? So he's going up here against Jose Matias Romero with that record of 29-3 there. And the thing with Romero is he has won his last 3 bouts. His last loss was in 2022 to Robeisy Ramirez there by a technical knockout, but he was losing every single round up until that point there where he eventually got stopped. You feel me? So here with Jordan White, it's just looking like he's trying to get himself, like I said, in the mix there within that super featherweight division. He should be there, in the rankings as far as super featherweight. Had him, I think it was the WBC. Had him right there as the IBF, the NABF champion there. Excuse me. They're like ranked at number 12 there as of March 8th. So thing about it is like you got to see about if he's going to be able to get up a couple more notches there within the WBC rankings here with a win coming up on Saturday night. So definitely looking forward to this particular main event here that's going to be live on ProBox TV. So definitely got to tune in on ProBox TV. Of course, it's they're available on YouTube. Therefore, this headline about what we got next up there is supposed to be there's Stephen Shaw going up against a priori there, Rafael a priori, and Shaw with a record of 20 wins, 2 losses. A priori there at 18-1 in the heavyweight division that's scheduled for 10 rounds. There as the co-feature bout, Stephen Shaw has what it is about 15 wins by way of knockout. Has a couple of TKO victories going into this bout as he had those come in 2024. He lost to Joseph Goodall in 2023. That's where he ended up getting stopped there against Joseph Goodall. But here trying to bounce back into it here in the heavyweight division against a priori. A priori's only loss was to Makhmudov. So he's beaten a lot of other fighters there within a couple of rounds. 18 wins with just that 1 loss, and 17 of those 18 wins by way of knockout. So he is really going in there and doing this stuff. You feel me? You know what I mean? So uh this one's gonna be a real good one. It's gonna be a real good one here for the co-feature bout in the heavyweight division there because Stephen Shaw has been a fighter that a couple of fans have kind of like looked out for there. Of course, Big Shot Shaw, like I was mentioning there, he's been on these fight cards, whether it's been like on Top Rank or a few other promotional companies. He's like been on those fight cards there as well. So here against A Priori, he's trying to get back in the mix there in the heavyweight division. But hey, A Priori might be one to kind of like spoil that. You know what I mean? But we got to see how that that ends up because I think it was talking about the odds on my joint here a couple of days ago, and it had like had Stephen Shaw like highly favored there for this particular bout, man. So I'm like, that's kind of something there, that they have Stephen Shaw as a pretty significant favorite. You feel me? So let me see here. I was gonna see if I could try to look it up or whatnot and see what those odds was. Hold on, I'm trying to see it right here. I'm trying to see it. Let me see. I'll probably gotta there we go. I gotta go into boxing and then see what they got. You know. Looking it up here. Yeah. Well, they got Steven Sharp minus 475. Minus 475 there against Akpajori. So that could be something there where Akpajori could get like a minor upset if he's able to get the win here over Steven Shaw in that co-feature bout, man. So you got to see how that rocks. Got to see how that rocks. I mentioned there with the Jordan White fight. Jordan White is at minus 800, so that's pretty significant right there. Being at minus 800, you but yeah, we got that next bout that's slated there. Like I said, there with William Foster the third going up against Brandon Benitez. Of course, William Foster was on the last or the pilot episode of the DMV Boxing Network show here up against. Now he's going up against Brandon Benitez being added on this card here. That is scheduled for 10 rounds. So, he's looking to, make an impact here against Benitez, get himself in the mix. You feel me? We got like a version of a WBA title on there. Checking box rec, you can't really see anything in reference to WBA when it comes to box rec unless you go ahead and put in a little bit of contribution towards box rec. But you got William Foster with a record of 18 wins and 2 losses, 11 of those wins by way of knockout. And with Brandon Benitez, he is 21 and 3 with 9 wins by way of knockout. So it's gonna be a good little scrap there. Also, that's scheduled for 10 rounds there. You're within that was around that lightweight division or whatever. You know what I mean? Because they're supposed to be lightweight or super featherweight. I think they got them at super featherweight. Yeah. So you got 2 of these bouts here at super featherweight, man. I mean, hey, I don't know. Maybe the winners of these 2 bouts could potentially clash later on down the line there to see who could go further up in the super featherweight division. So I'm definitely looking forward to those 2 bouts there to kind of like shape up what could happen at super featherweight. Because hey, if you got William Foster and Jordan White maybe here getting the wins tomorrow night, that maybe they could set something up. You feel me? Maybe they could set something up. All right. So those 3 bouts, and then you got of course there with Frankie Scarborough going up against Victor Manuel Lopez. And this one, you got Scarborough at 9-0, Victor Lopez at 6 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw there. So I mean that's gonna be nice here in the lightweight division. You got Victor Lopez listed at 6'2". So and remember, this is something where Scarborough did pretty much like just they had pretty much added him as an opponent there. You know what I mean? So that was the thing about it. You know what I mean? Um, Now it was just with Scarborough, he was just there, preparing out there in Hillcrest Boxing Gym. At least I spoke with him, a couple times here, leading into the week of the fight. And then, once they secured that opponent for him, then, he was like locked in as far as like, okay, this is who I focus on as far as like my overall opponent coming up there. So, that was my thing. That, he was waiting on an opponent, but then, got himself an opponent secured. And, now it's like go time for him. It's go time for him. And for Scarborough, like he said, they're being on ProBox or whatnot, or being signed to ProBox. Say he wants to show them that they pretty much signed the Tom Brady of this boxing thing, and so he's pretty much like starting that here on tomorrow night, looking to go 10-0 there in his professional career. So you got that as a another good bout that's coming up. You got next up there with Jordan Roach going up against Garen Diegan. I was out there over at No Excuse Gym also speaking with Jordan Roach. So he's looking to get himself to 4-0. Garen Diegan is 10 wins and 6 losses. His last 3 bouts were losses there. And he's there at like what, 5'3". Dang, he's 5'3". Man, yeah, I think this is this is gonna be looks like this is gonna be easy work here for Jordan Rhodes. It looks like it's gonna be easy work for him. It shouldn't be have to worry about that much here in this bout. So yeah, it's like all Jordan Rhodes here in this one upcoming, right? So that's one of the joints here. So I'm gonna see here. I see if you could connect in if I got someone else here to join on the DMV Boxing Network show, but not seeing them on the queue. I'm not okay. There we go. Seeing if I got them on this thing here. So I got my guy Smack in the building.
What's good? What's good?
What's happening with you?
Cooling, man. How you been?
All good, man. All good. Just had to get out to tend to a family emergency, so that's why I couldn't make it out be out there for Saturday's event. So had to get this thing taken care of here over the weekend, but I should be able to still check out the fights that's going to be going on at Maryland Live tomorrow. So here, of course, this is coming from the weigh-ins that they had earlier today there. So I was just talking about each of the fights that they had, at least on this list coming up so far, with the main event co-feature bout. William Foster, of course, who we talked with a couple of weeks ago, and Frankie Scarborough as well. So like what are you thinking about the main event and the co-feature bout, at least so far?
I'm thinking it's gonna be a good fight. I mean, obviously, who's Trey Fuller, right? No, Jordan White. My bad, Jordan White. Jordan White. My fault. Jordan White. He's coming out of that Hillcrest Heights boxing gym with Coach Ernesto. Coach Ernesto, shout out to him for coming. And I remember he spoke on your Boxing Source YouTube channel, and the great things he's done. 2-time world champion trainer. You can't take nothing from that type of guy. So you got to know that with him and Jordan White didn't play the last time he was in the ring. I don't think he's going to play this time. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I definitely think Jordan White is going to show out on ProBox TV. So I think it's a good look that ProBox TV, so all the ones who can't be in attendance can be able to watch it on ProBox. So I definitely think that's going to be a good one. So I definitely think it's going to be a must watch.
Yeah, for sure. He's there, like I said, around that top 12 or whatnot in the WBC, being a NABF champion. And, he has this opportunity where he could climb up the rankings there in that super featherweight division, particularly with the win here. And then, I also talked about the joint there with William Foster being part of this card. And, they got Foster, rated in the WBA. And that, he could, pretty much like fight for a version of one of those WBA titles or something there, going up against Benitez there on Saturday night. So that's, 2 fights that I'm looking at, because you could potentially have matchup there down the line between those two if they end up winning
I love that
their
too.
bouts.
I love that they do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You see
Mm-hmm.
other people do it, but when you can see, people who's not on the PBCs or the match rooms and still put cards together like that, so we get a chance to see a co-main
Mm-hmm.
event and then the main event that could potentially meet up together. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I definitely like that. So then you get a taste of what's to come if both are victorious.
right.
So I
Yep.
definitely think they both got. I mean, their challenges are not walks in the park. Like they definitely have been around. Foster has lost twice, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's lost
Mm-hmm.
twice. So,
Yeah,
and the guy he's facing, I think he's lost what 3 times. I think it
three
is.
times. That's right.
Yep. So, like I said, these aren't like just what people consider cab drivers. I try not to use that. I'm not a boxer, so I don't like to, but they call them cab drivers. The ones who,
Mm-hmm.
you just going to beat on or whatever to get a quick payday and move up with another W. So I definitely
Mm-hmm.
like, and ProBox, anybody who's watched ProBox, you rarely, I mean, probably less than 10% see a fight that is not entertaining and where they don't do great matchup. So
Mm-hmm.
granted, Jordan White is the hometown guy, but he's not going in there just like it's a walk in the park. I don't think his mental is going to be like it's a walk in the park. That's just not how I've seen him fight, and that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like how Coach Ernesto trains and coaches his team. So, like I said, I definitely think they both are going to have a task on their hands. William Foster, I'm not too sure. I'm still up in the air on what's going. I would like to see him come out victorious.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see him come out victorious. I just haven't watched enough of his fights to say he's guaranteed, but Jordan White, I've been watching him for a while, so I'm gonna go with Jordan White definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the thing there with William Foster, I had seen his bout that he had against Aronson Garcia there, and that one was particularly at the lower weight class around that thing there around um like they're super featherweight and whatnot. But the thing is, it's like he was really getting outboxed there against Erison Garcia last July over in Newark. So he had to have a couple of fights here, I guess, to try to go ahead and bounce back and get himself back in the mix there in the particular division. And like you were saying, with him being ranked number 11 in the WBA at super featherweight, like he has a shot to really climb up the ranks himself here in getting a win if he can there against against Brandon Benitez.
Have you seen that he lost his two loss, right? His 2
Mm-hmm.
losses that he's taken. They're in 10-round bouts.
Yeah.
So is there something where the 2-round bouts, the 2 extra rounds, is that a problem because he has to do that tomorrow?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. Like the fight they had against LeBron, that was like a crazy score that they had for that. You know what I mean? Because one of them had it like 9 rounds to 1 in favor of LeBron,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
it was like I would say it was like closer than that. Had to be very closer than that. But the one against Erickson Garcia, like in the back half of the fight, like he was really getting outboxed in that back half of the fight. So that what I could say was pretty much a solid thing where he fell short on that one. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So okay, I'm about to say because I mean, obviously 2 extra rounds. I guess you prepare for 8. Then when you go 10, I don't know. I wasn't sure if he was getting gassed or something like that could be happening, or just was like you say he just got outboxed the last couple rounds. So
yeah, for sure. And then like I have right here with Jordan Roach, got him. I think that was more of like somewhere he's in a feature bout against Garen Diegan, so that he could get himself a quick victory or something like that here in this Pro Box card. So you had that, and then I also talked about the thing there with Francois Scarborough going up against Victor Manuel Lopez, and with Lopez being there at like 6'2",
yeah, I
that's
was like, I said when I saw it, I said, "Hey, what's this dude? A little Sebastian Fundora?" Like I'm like, I mean, hey, I still think Frankie, like I said before, to see the franchise break down the last guy he fought and the adjustments he made to get the win. Granted, the
Mhm.
last couple fights I saw him when I really started to pay attention to him, he was like knocking people out. He
Mhm.
and like they even said, he went against the guy from what was it, Michigan? And
Yeah,
he
that
was what
was
five?
Fairleigh Dickinson
They
Jr.
both Yeah, they both had the same record.
Pretty much,
It got a little fiery at the weigh-in, so we like that. So and then for him to come out and really like make that dude basically like, nah, I'm good. So it's like for him to do that, I definitely think with Frankie, I just think he's probably gonna break that dude down. Like now, granted, I'm not saying dude's a slouch, but I'm just going with Frankie on that one.
Word. Sure. And then, like I said, there you got Jordan Roach. There, they has his bout. I talked about that. You got Ben Johnson. That has something going up against Brandon Mendoza. That's somewhere he's looking to go 4-0 against Brandon Mendoza. Mendoza has a record there of 6-3, and he lost his last 3 bouts. So it's all leaning towards
it's either
Ben
win or go
Johnson.
home for him. It's looking like no disrespect to him. It's looking like a win or go home. So not saying that that means a walk in the park for Ben, but at the same time, when you got somebody who like, hey, I ain't saying Ben don't have nothing to lose, but at the same time, this dude might be like, yo, I gotta literally like
really
go out here and really show something.
Yeah. Yep.
So you definitely don't want that to be but I don't think, like no excuse. They don't seem like to be the type they prepare for everything. I mean, look at Lamont. You know what I'm saying? They prepare for everything. So I'm sure Ben Johnson, his last event, the man didn't even break a sweat in ProBox.
Right.
What was they in Plant City? Was they in Plant City?
Yeah, the last one he was in Plant City. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even know he fought. He was sitting in the after his fight, he was sitting in the stands. Like you didn't even know. I said, time out. So I had to rewind it and catch it. And I was like, did he fight already? Then I said, oh, I can see why. I mean, the dude he fought last time, he looked real out of shape. You know what I'm saying? Type guy. I'm not saying this guy looks like he's not in shape, but losing 3 straight fights. I don't know if he changed his camp in between that. I don't know too much on the guy, but you lose 3 straight fights and you not changing your camp, or maybe he has some things going on mentally, but something has to change for you to get victorious on this one. I'm sorry.
And hit the thing too, like the last loss was to Emiliano Vargas. He got knocked out in the second round, and it was in 2023. So
ain't like light skinned Lou. Shout out to him. Like he said, when you see these guys from their pictures to them just being in the area, they don't look like they take too many days off. So Ben is coming to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
He don't get paid for overtime like they say. So I'm gonna be honest. I think this is going to be a quick one. Yeah, I'm sorry. He wanted to show me something different, and if he do, hey, I'll come back and say, hey.
I mean, he says that he's trying to see if he could do something where he could get some rounds in, but yeah, I don't expect him to do that here. On this instance. So that one's gonna be a easy look for him on that. You know what I mean? And then you got the thing there with Whitmire. So
got the body snatcher.
Yeah. So the Whitmire against Roberto Gomez, and Gomez is there at 5-4. Those 4 losses came in his past 5 fights. So we could. Oh my goodness, man.
No disrespect, but I'm not saying that like the Ben Whitmore, they not going to win. It's just that ProBox don't put on fights where it's just going to be easy. So these guys, just because they have these losses, we still have to get ProBox usually puts on a great card. So which is like 11 fights tomorrow. So it's going to be a great card. But I do think, like I said, the body snatcher, they called him that for a reason. If you didn't see him, he was on the prelim for he was on the prelim for Tank and Roach fight.
Yep.
If you did not see him, go on YouTube, and it's a reason why they call him the body snatcher. And I don't think it's going to. I think that name is going to continue to reign tomorrow night. I don't think he's going to go away from what he's been doing. And I'm sorry to this guy, but I just don't see him getting a dub against him.
I mean, kind of like looks in shape, or
you can look in shape, but I just don't know. When you start getting hit in that solar plex, I want to know how many times you're going until you drop that guard.
Yeah, still, you got to be somebody that's used to taking body shots, and usually fighters aren't used to taking body shots. So, you know what I mean, what else you got there, man? You got Eric Hernandez. I had to see that because Hernandez going up against Johnny Spell. That one they was Spell at like 9 wins and 2 losses. There, when his last loss was a split decision loss.
Ooh, so I know
So
he
he's
on some
been
get
in
back.
really close. He's been in some close fights himself. So this could be a good test here for Hernandez. We saw him out there at the Rosecroft Raceway.
Yep.
And this bout against Wayne Ziegler, that was kind of a good scrap there, at least for the first half of the fight.
Definitely. I definitely think it was a good one. Like I said, the first half was great. So I mean, like I said, when you lose like that way, and they always ask them. So with you having a loss, granted it's a different guy he's fighting, but to lose on a split decision like that, it's something in a fighter's mind that most fighters always say, "Hey, I got to make it non-negotiable next time."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that's what his game plan is going to be. I got to make this non-negotiable.
Yeah. And, like I said, he's out there at Hillcrest too. So, we got, a good number of fighters there at Hillcrest that are going to be on this card. So, he's going to be out there to try to show up and show out. You got, of course, like I said, with Frankie, we got Trey
Didn't
Power
Frankie's
Fuller.
opponent change from the time you interviewed Coach
Nah, because
Ernesto, or stayed the same?
he didn't have a lockdown opponent when I was interviewing him.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, so they were still trying to arrange for an opponent because when I spoke with Nesto the previous week, like he was saying then that they had a couple of opponents that were proposed and both of them like turned it down. So they were still looking for an opponent, searching for an opponent, and of course, and it was pretty much like the week of the fight that they got somebody locked in for Frankie Scarborough.
I always wonder how is that like. I mean, obviously, you've had certain people who've had.
I mean, it's something like how they have the thing with the business of the sport. Sometimes, maybe like if they find someone, see if they can look for someone from outside the country. Do they have their visa stuff all in order and straightened out and stuff like that, or is it something where the money may be right or it's not, and sometimes it doesn't work for some. And
Always like, how do you train? Like, I mean, obviously, how sometimes they say, well, it might be these 3 guys. So obviously, you train that way. But when it's somebody who you did not train for, like the Shakur Stevenson situation. Now, granted, that's Shakur Stevenson. So with you having that many wins, like Frankie doesn't have, he's going for 10-0, right? Shakur has double that and more. So it's like, obviously, it comes with experience. But how does somebody who has single digits, how do you prepare for just on the go? Hey, this week coming up, you're gonna fight this guy.
It's kind of different because you're dealing with a different style. The main thing that you may have above your opponent is that you've been in camp. You know what I mean? So once you've been in camp, you kind of like went through the mannerisms of what you usually do. With your corner and everything like that. You're pretty much like comfortable with what they've kind of taught you. It's just that okay, these next couple of days I have to adapt to the style from a defensive perspective, or pretty much scouting from a defensive perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I have to do in order to avoid what they have as far as like their jab or their big shot. It could be like a left hook, or it could be like a sharp right or whatever. You know what I mean?
So do you think when it's those type of situations that okay, a fighter who might even have less than 9 wins, they're like, all right, I just found out this week and the fight is this week. I do who I'm fighting. So you know how they start off slow, especially ones who usually step on the gas fast.
Yeah,
they're downloading because they like, I didn't have that time to work on this and this.
Yeah, to be used to what he did. Or if you don't like in this case, you could have something where you don't necessarily get much footage of your opponent, so you might take those couple of rounds to see what they do, or pretty much in one round, or even within the first minute to see how they approach the fight, so that you'll be able to say, "Hey, okay, this is what I see him doing. Let me see if I can adjust to that, and see if I can do it, sooner rather than later." You feel me? So that's kind of like how that could work there, especially with like last minute fighters or something. In some cases, of course, because in others you could just have something where okay, we just found somebody, he's in, he's in there as an opponent, so you just go in there, you do what you do, and whether it's one round or 3 rounds or whatever, then hey, at least you're able to, get yourself in the ring. You feel me?
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one.
Yeah. So you did have that. What else I got here on the joint? Let's see. Yeah, so we got this one coming up. We got the ABO or the ABF. I thought it was the ABO. So they got an ABF title on this thing too. So
yeah,
hey,
they got some tight. Hey, they got some people trying to take some gold, and they got some people trying to retain that.
Yeah. So so this one's gonna be good as well. So I mean, you got the joint here with
Sugar Wayne.
Yeah, Sugar Wayne. So I think he was on who is my guy? Well Connected. I think I see him on Well Connected channel there with his conversation. So we gotta see how that fight is gonna go here against Dominique Griffin. And the thing there with that is like 9-0 going up against Griffin, who's 5-8-2. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like how that is there.
I mean, obviously, I think he's gonna be. I think it's gonna be what they consider a good bump, but I don't think. I mean, I still got the hometown guy winning 5-8. I'm not saying like I don't know too much on Griffin, but if we just looking at the 5-8-2, like I said, if ProBox picked him, then it's going to be a good fight. They don't try to put on boring fights, so I think it's going to be some good wreck for Sugar Wayne. But I just think Sugar Wayne loves putting on the show, so I think definitely like his showmanship in the ring. I remember last time I saw him fight was at, I think Hook Hall when I saw him fight there, and I think Riccio was on that card, and both of them the showmanship, just like on how they like they gonna get you out of it, and they gonna get you out of it in fashion, like
word. So yeah, so that's the next battle on there. Like I said, I mean they got a lot of bouts that they fitting in on this right here, man. So they kind of
you got to get a good cushion because you're gonna be
yeah, you be in there for a good minute out in Maryland Live. You know what I mean? So they got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Man, yeah, that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this is a lot. So yeah, you got Trey Pound, of course.
Yep.
There, like I said, out in the Hillcrest Gym. That's gonna have his bout, coming up there against Roberto Cisneros. So another one where he's a ABO champ there in the super bantamweight division. Now going up against Roberto Cisneros, who has a record.
He won his belt at that Davis promotion. What was that last year? Sometime
yeah,
he won that belt, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was the joint there, man. He won that belt in the Davis Promotions card. They're going up against Robert Ellis there, where he got the stoppage victory on that. So, now he's back in the mix here against Roberto Cisneros. So another bout that's here at Maryland Live. He's kind of like been there at Maryland Live before back in 2023. So he's been able to build up a crowd here. Having a number of the local fights out in the area.
Now the thing is, we know he doesn't have any knockouts, right? He's won, but he's the guy he's going against has what 2? I think it is 2 knockouts. It's like 5-2 or something like that.
Yeah, 5-2 with 4 knockouts.
Well, 4 knockouts. My bad. So only one that he didn't win. So now him trying to go for the knockout on Trey Pound. I don't know if that's his game plan. Obviously, he ain't gonna tell us. We just have to see. But Trey Pound, I definitely think is going to show out as well. Like I said, they got it's almost the same amount as No Excuse as it is Hillcrest.
That's as far as like the card, yeah. I mean, it almost seems like it's actually more from Hillcrest and all that stuff there, man. So
yeah, Irvin, excuse me, he has 5 knockouts. So he has 5 knockouts, and so like the last guy he knocked him out. I remember that fight.
Yeah. So you got that too, man. And this got Riccio here, man. I think it is. It's gonna be on this straight too. So
I don't know who Riccio's fighting.
He got Riccio going up against Wyatt Schwartzberg.
Okay.
But here, what is it? Keith Cologne against Rashad Hicks too. So yeah, you got like a number of great fights here that's gonna be coming up here on the straight, man. So that's the thing there that we got coming up here on this thing, man.
Ricio, you know how many bouts? I mean, how many rounds Ricio going?
It's a 4-rounder.
Okay, hey, I'm telling y'all, in these 4 rounds, watch Ricio. He gonna bring the crowd out. I'm telling you, he always bring a crew, and they gonna show out. And trust me, expect him to show out. It's only 4 rounds. It's gonna go quick.
Yeah, but he's gonna be action there for those 4 rounds there, against Forsberg. But that shows you like how much is out there for this whole thing for No Excuse Promotions on ProBox TV tomorrow night. Now they say for ProBox that they're gonna start the telecast around 6 p.m. Eastern time there for people to jump on YouTube in order to watch the fight card. So as far as like fitting that many fights on there, hey, that's gonna
Saturday
be
night.
really
Hey, you gonna be oh my gosh! Like I said, you don't want it. Now the only good thing if you watching at home, you can pause it. Just don't read the chat because I've done it before. Sitting there watching on the YouTube, don't read the chat.
What I would do is I would just watch it, on my smart TV or whatever it is, so I won't have to worry about the live chat.
Oh yes, yeah. About to say, but what I mean to tell you, because when you watching it, if you got to get up, do whatever you got to do, pause it, and come back to it. Just don't pick up your phone if you follow the fighters or ProBox.
Yeah,
they're gonna be posting.
So yeah, that's the thing, man. Just try to follow that live drink. But I mean, you got this going on, and then of course, you got what's happening, over in Atlantic City. So
what's that? A 2-hour drive more? Two and a half?
Yeah, 4-hour drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking of me coming all the way to
but it's
Arundel,
like but it'd be like disappointing to me because the route, a lot of the routes that they have getting to Atlantic City, like you can't really. It's not like you got like a interstate type of straight where you could just constantly go like a certain speed. Unless if you like go in thinking like one of them toll roads that they have out there, but
that's the only thing.
But like going on like 40, I think it's 40 to go across from 95. Yeah, that takes a good little while from that. You know what I mean? So, but that one I feel like that's gonna be a good scrap there against with Boots Citizen Iamana Sanionis. Definitely looking forward to that there for the IBF, WBA, and Ring Magazine welterweight titles.
Do you think it's too? I mean, obviously, who else was he gonna fight? But he has almost half more fights than Stayonis, right? Granted, Stayonis is a champion, so obviously it's
but Sanionis has pretty much like 11 or so fights or whatnot. You feel me? And Boost is like they're like his 33rd fight.
Yeah, I'm like, so when you got that type of, like I said, are we going to get? I'm just curious. Now, granted, I'm just going to say my prediction is Boots. I'm gonna go with Boots. Do I think Boots knocks him out? I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, are we gonna get the Boots from his last fight, or are we gonna get Boots from a fight before that one? Because the Boots that fought before this guy,
right,
he was, what I'm saying. So it's like the first time he fought him. He fought him in on the tank card that was here in DC, and he tried to. I just think he tried too hard. He tried too hard to knock him out, and then the second time they fought, it was still good. But no disrespect to the guy, obviously, who he's fighting, and that's when when you tell somebody, "Oh well, Boots wasn't as great," but it's almost like not to downplay the guy's boxing ability. You just like you expect certain things from that caliber of a fighter, and so when you don't get it, you're looking at it like. It wasn't his best. So it's like Boost and Stayonis. I don't know. I definitely think Stayonis is not going to make it easy for Boost, but I definitely think Boost is going to get comfortable after a while, and he's just going to start picking them apart.
Yeah, I think he's going to be much large as far as like the reach is going to be a factor. Um, his height is going to be a factor there, and the thing with Stanionis is his best work is usually on the inside, and he would have to like work in order to get there. And as long as Boots is sharp with the jab, like Stanionis is going to be taking a few punches in order to try to get within range. So that's why I'm like I'm unsure of how Stanionis is going to be able to get the higher favor there against a Boots Ennis. I've seen a few people pick Stanionis, but I'm like from a style perspective, I don't see it.
Yeah, I can see if you just betting to see if what you win, but
right.
I just don't like you said if you just been watching boxing stuff like that, and like granted there's upsets all the time in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's always upsets, but is it really going to be that type of night? Like where, like what? I'm just curious to be like, okay, I need to hear the argument of what about him is saying Stanionis is
and,
except having a puncher's chance. Besides that,
yeah, my thing was it was a whole activity part of the whole thing because with like I said with Jaron Ennis, since Stanionis' last fight that happened last May, right? Boots had already had 2 fights. He had 2 fights already against Avazian and Karen Chikazin. And with Stanionis, he was like around like 15 total fights. And, he only had the 1 fight against Gabriel Maestre since his previous bout was in 2022. So some can say he was pretty much about as active as Keith Thurman or something, you know what I mean?
Hey, and then for you to only have now, granted, he's 30 years old, right? So you expect somebody at 30. I'm just thinking because we're going, there has to be a bar you measure people from. Everybody's their own person, but there's a bar. At 30 and you only have 15 fights. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't see how that.
Yeah, you turn pro at like 2017, and you got like 15 fights, but here like Boots at like turned pro at 2016, and he has like 33 fights or whatever it was.
Yeah,
so
somebody's been busy and somebody has not.
Yeah, so
and I definitely think that plays a part with anybody, even the people who are great.
Yeah. Now, the thing that was Stanionis, as far as like the recent thing goes, was after his bout that he had against Raza Batayev, they tried to link him in with the bout against Virgil Ortiz Jr., but both guys had all those issues, and then ultimately Virgil Ortiz just went up to 154, so that kind of held back Stanionis for some time until he was able to get the bout there against Gabriel Maestre. So
I'm like, was he trying to do? But I was like, I wonder. Obviously, it's the promo and all that in your team, but I'm just like, what about Stanionis is saying, listen, I got to get some wrecking. I need to stay active.
Yeah. You got to be able to have that something there where you're able to be put.
Even if you got to give me somebody who I know I'm a dog.
Right.
I got to keep. It's like any car. You got to keep. You got to turn it on, drive it around the block a couple of times, even if it's just your car. You only drive once a month. You still got to keep the oil going through them gears.
Yep.
Like they say, sparring. Okay, you sparring and everything, but there's a difference. Every boxer has said it. There's a difference between sparring and you getting under them bright lights.
Oh yeah. So that's why I was like, well, once you finally had that bout against Gabriel Maestre, like what stops you from having another bout in the interim? You know what I mean? So that you'd be able to at least defend that WBA title that you had,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like really concerned on, even with Stanionis having the work that he had out there in Wildcard Gym, that I feel like he's not going to be as fresh there over the course of rounds as Boots Ennis will be. So
that's why I definitely think after time, Boots just gonna sit down on them punches and we going. Like I said, I don't know if he's gonna knock him out. I'm not gonna at least say that, but I definitely think he's going to win, and it's not going to be for debate.
Yeah. So he's gonna be more free flowing, and then it's gonna be an eventual breakdown. For Stanionis, I gotta see if he'll be able to take that for those 12 rounds that they have scheduled for this. And, for Ennis, it's like, well, this is partially what I've been working or seeking for. First I was, a top contender there for the belts. And, those that had the belts didn't have the, that circumstance where they were going to end up fighting me. So I'm like, well, I gotta, go ahead and activate this clause or something like that, so that hey, either you're gonna see what's going on with the rematch, or you gotta see if you can make the defense. And I would have been like, hey, if they felt like they didn't know the status of Errol Spence at the time, as Terrence Crawford ended up winning that IBF title, then why not see if you could have a fight there with a Boots Ennis? But that wasn't necessarily what Terrence Crawford was looking for. So he ended up having the title vacated. And all Boots could do is just defend against the contenders that were available there. So once he did that, then see if they could try to do another unification, but didn't necessarily happen. They had, of course, the thing there with the story about Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. last year, but that kind of like sailed, and it was like he was locked into a top ranked fight anyway, so he couldn't really step out of that and try to unify. So, so you had that, and then now with this, it's like, okay, now you get one step closer to seeing if you can become undisputed. And we see what Brian Norman Jr. did in his bout against Derek Cuevas. So
he's sitting there, he probably sitting there like, all right, go ahead and get through this one.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as after it, don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all get on Twitter, because that's how boxers get on Twitter.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And when they get on Twitter, they're gonna get to talking, and don't be surprised if they be saying, "Hey,
I should get in contact with Brian Norman Sr. to see, what they'll say about, this fight coming up." So
yeah, I definitely think. I mean, obviously they saying they not ducking no smoke, so I definitely see. I mean, I don't see why. Besides, once after if and when he does win this, like, okay, makes sense to go to Norman. Who else you gonna go to?
Yeah, because I think it lines up because you got Norman, who was out there with Top Break. He fought like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And we said from at least the trainer for Barrios that Barrios' next fight is gonna be in July. So you're not gonna see him fight either one of these guys. At least I don't see that. So why not go ahead and try to line up a fight between the winner of this and Brian Norman Jr. And yes, I'm leaning towards Boots Ennis winning this as well. So you're just gonna have to see if that does come to fruition there at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City tomorrow. And
I wonder why they couldn't get Wells Fargo. Enough names?
I don't know. Could be unless I don't know. I don't know if the Flyers are like in the playoffs. We know the 76ers make the playoffs. We know that. So
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why they couldn't secure Wells Fargo for this particular fight.
76ers, I don't know what happened to them. I'm not a fan of them, but I just
I don't know either. But yeah, that's gonna be a really exciting bout out there. They're gonna have Ray Ford featured on the co-feature.
Yep.
There, they got Omari Jones is gonna have his second pro fight. They're gonna put him on that like made the zone portion of the card. So that's something right there. To have Omari Jones. I saw him out there in Orlando for his pro debut. Got himself a good win, and now he's gonna be in here as far as like competing at super welterweight, at least so far here against William Jackson. So I got that, and then a few other fights that's out there. Zakeem Moses is gonna be on the card. There, Tamir Smalls is on the card. Sakura Giasov is able to get step aside money and be in a fight to get a little bit more money. So
I ain't knocking that. Getting paid and still that's 2 paychecks. You can't be mad at that.
Double dip. So you do have that. So that's good overall there on his part. So that's what they had there for the matchroom card. And outside of that, I mean, you have we got Albert Bell that's going to be on Millions.co with his fight that he's headlining at the Huntington Center. He's going to be, there at the 135-pound division of whatnot. So, he's trying to get himself in the mix because he couldn't really get anything at 140. So now they're trying to see if they can. I mean, not 140, but 130. So they're trying to see if they can get some. See him in position to try to fight for something there at 135. So he'll have his start here, in the 135-pound division, featured in about that is there at the Huntington Center in his hometown of Toledo, Ohio. So that's mainly what we got here for the action this weekend, man.
Yeah, what you think of Raymond Ford? You think Raymond Ford and Matisse? What you think?
I think he takes care of business. I think he takes care of business. He did have some type of hit list or whatnot. So after this and I say, man, like if he could just go ahead and try to move closer to get the fight there for a world title or whatnot. But we got to see here, like him against Eduardo Nunez, that would really be something there. But we got to see what Nunez does. If he's fighting for the vacant, should be fighting for the vacant against Masanori Rikishi here pretty soon in a couple of months or something. So we got to see how that shapes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, definitely like Raymond Ford. I mean, he only has one loss, so definitely think that he probably take care of business. I don't think he's going to lose. I definitely, I think it could be some good work for him. But I mean, Matisse is definitely not a pushover. Definitely not. 22-4. You can't take that away from him. The way he boxes, so it's like I definitely think it'll be good. But granted, I definitely like. I don't know the paper. I mean, I can't knock the promotions because PBC doesn't always put on a pay-per-view stellar card. But it's just that when you have certain people, I think that's also another thing we have an issue with. We want everybody on the same card that's the top of the, but then after that card is over, they got to rest. So then where does everybody else go?
Yeah, where else go? Yeah. Well, you got to have something where you had these dates,
Yep.
for these fights. And so that's the thing. It's like you could either stack a card or you could have it where it's like got a couple of good ones and
A
then
couple
one
of good
that
ones, yeah.
are gimmies so that you can still have that type of, format for other fight cards in the future, later on down the line instead of like trying to stack everything. Plus, if you try to do that as far as like stack it, then that's how much resources that you got to put into it. And if you're not getting enough for returns, then it's most likely you're not going to be able to do that again.
Yeah, yeah. Then you short. You right because then you like, dang it, didn't work out. Now I'm really short. So now I really just got put on anything and hopefully something stick.
So
Yeah.
so that's the thing there as far as like putting cards together, trying to see what could be done. But I don't know, maybe we could have something here happening like that. So some folks claiming that the thing that with Turkey LLC as far as like making those cards, but you see the returns on that. Like you saw what how many pay-per-view buys for that February 22nd card for the US? Like, come on, so
Empty promises from what people saying. So
yeah,
that's gonna be interesting if those fall through. Like if that New York falls through, but I mean,
right.
wasn't that New York was supposed to be outside and it's
Oh yeah,
supposed to
it
be
is.
free?
It is. Yeah, it was free, but they got the thing there where it's it's invite. So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna turn out. Really,
They
I
trying
don't
to
know.
turn it to. I get what he's trying to do, but it's just not
Mhm.
gonna. I mean, we'll see if
Yeah,
we be hearing about him next year.
right. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what we got here so far. But just people look forward to the ProBox card that's coming up tomorrow night. You'll enjoy the fights there, and then you got what's coming up on the zone as well there, and also if you look for like millions.co, then you'll be able to see Albert Bell in action there. But just here on the DMV Boxing Network Show, just focusing on what's happening there with the Pro Box card. So y'all go ahead and enjoy that, and we'll have more on that Pro Box card here later on down the line there. But that's mainly what I got here for this particular episode here, Smack. What is there anything else you wanted to let people know about?
Oh, make sure y'all, if y'all don't know, there's a May 10th card coming up. That's gonna be in the DMV Rosecroft Raceway. It's gonna be some. You're gonna have Sugar Sheet up there and some other guys. So make sure y'all check that out. So I think that's the only one coming up. Oh, my fault. My bad. Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw.
Yeah.
Bowie State University.
Bowie State University. Yep.
He's going to be putting the title on the line.
Yep.
April 26th. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah. Because we got I think you got Too Sharp that's gonna be on that card there as well.
Yep.
Jakeem Hutchinson. So he's gonna be on that card too. So Bowie State University, that's gonna be something there. Actually, I don't know, I might try to do next week.
Michael, another guy from DMV, but he won't be fighting in the DMV. He'll be fighting all the way on Cali. Yeah. Mike Fox.
Yep.
Definitely, I won't be able to make that Cali trip, but I will be trying to watch that fight.
Yeah, that Boa Chuck joint. Yeah, that's gonna be something for real.
I'm happy he finally got an opponent. He was supposed to fight like a couple of weeks ago, and the opponent backed out, I think, last minute or something like that, and they couldn't find somebody or something, I think it was. So to see Mike Fox back in the ring, best believe the professor school is going to be in session. Better get your pen and pad. I think that's it for the DMV that I can think of at this time.
Yeah. Yep. I know that Maximus Garland is going to be fighting next week. So he's going to be out in Washington next week too. So that's what we got. Also coming from my Hillcrest too. So
I know you out of town, so will you be able to do your
for guys?
I know you out of town. Will you still do your report on Sunday?
Looking to see if I could probably do it. Just see if I could figure out how it's gonna work out. So that's basically see how I'll be able to schedule something for Sunday night. I mean, but that's what I got there, man. Pretty much like did it within under an hour there. Yep. So we got more stuff left to go here on the DMV Boxing Network Show. I'm gonna see about doing something at least before the Bowie State University card, but I want to see if it could be done like next Friday instead of just the one like right before. We'll see how that's going to sort itself out. You know what I mean? If we can try to do that. So once I get more on that, then we'll get back at it, and then if we could try to see about getting more guests on this shows too. So
most definitely.
We'll see if we can do that, no doubt. All right. So that's what I have, y'all. Y'all be sure to like I said, support the fighters here in the DMV area. Of course, support Smack Like That. You check out his channel. Also, we can have this thing streaming on the channel as well, so you'll be able to check him out. And of course, here with the Boxing Source, check out the channel here, the Boxing Source, also. And like I said, we're gonna have more conversations with a number of the media outlets here in the area. So y'all be sure to support them as well. Okay. So, with that being said, that is it for episode 2, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
Easy.